The most powerful monster truck in the world, Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger.
Richard, the people in Biloxi, Mississippi are going to have a chance to see a war right now. Anderson trying to find a combination. Has he found it? We don't know. He's working his way step by step by step. We told the story. Horsepower, no problem. The problem is braking. Meanwhile, sitting next to him, one of the most reliable trucks on the tour, Andy Brass in Bob Chandler's Bigfoot.
Now, we're on a very short track, Army. Gravedigger, obviously the most powerful of the two. Is that an advantage or disadvantage?
I think it would be an advantage. The driving technique is going to be different. Notice Gravedigger wants to get out. Okay, there you go.
Look out! Gravedigger wins it! Gravedigger wins it! Dennis Anderson has pulled off the upset over Bigfoot.
Anderson looked like an interior lineman. He got that nose down, and he went after it, and he took the win.
We've got to look at that again. Watch Gravedigger. He walks it over the cars, and then he almost puts it on his nose.
You know, Dennis Anderson must have a little bit of kamikaze in him, Richard. To drive like that is awesome. And you've got to remember, he has to drive different than everybody in the sport because of the horsepower and the engine location.
Unbelievable power, an unbelievable show by Gravedigger. The crowd absolutely loves it. And this makes for another great semifinal matchup. Two Chevrolets, one of them the defending national champion. That one right there, the red, white, and blue of USA 1 and Rob Litzow versus the yellow and orange of Gary Porter and Carolina Crusher.
Well, Richard, already the people in Biloxi are going to get a treat. Gravedigger goes to the final for the first time this year. Who's he going to be going against? It's going to be a Chevrolet. It'll be an all-Chevrolet final. The question is, which Chevrolet? Porter comes out of the Carolinas with a brand new 89 Chevrolet going against the current national champion Litzow in Ever Jasmer Chevrolet. This is going to be a toss-up. I would not want to have to call this one.
Now getting lined up. The winner now, remember, will take on Gravedigger for the championship. Here we go.
Oh, left lane, hole shot by the USA 1. And once again, you notice when he bounces over the finish line, it just seems to settle with him. That's some good driving.
An easy win for Rod Litzow, USA 1, the Chevrolet. That makes for an interesting championship. It'll be USA 1 and Rod Litzow against Gravedigger and Dennis Anderson. Before we get to that, though, Army has a special feature about the track these guys run on here in Biloxi, Mississippi, and the setup of the cars. Army spent time earlier today with our track builder.
One of the most unique people in this sport is the man that actually builds a track that these monster trucks compete on. Standing with me right now is Alan Jackson, who's president of a company known as Track Builders Incorporated. Alan, can you tell us exactly what goes into the construction of these monster truck courses?
Well, really, the first thing we take in consideration is the length of the building. The longer the building, the more cars we use, and the less we put in the dirt in the ramps so they don't get quite as tall.
Okay, now, there's basically two types of obstacles they're going to go over. Right after every starting line, there's a hill. I'm going to call it a hill. And then they got a little bit of a space, and they run and jump on the cars. Can you tell us what determines how high and how steep these hills are and how many cars you're going to be using?
Well, it's really the length of the building. The shorter the building, the steeper we make the ramps so they spend their time in the air and don't get up near as much speed.
Why do you want them to spend more time in the air in a short building?
Well, these guys are getting such big motors that they just run on top of the cars. They get up so much speed when they come off they couldn't stop.
Okay, the cars themselves. Now, standing behind us, they look like they're junk. They are junk cars, but they're still, even though they're beat up pretty bad, there's certain things that you do to each car in the front and the rear of it and also in the middle to keep some kind of a support. Could you explain that to us?
Yes, to keep from getting the holes. When we first started, we had one that fell in a hole and turned over right on the cars, so we started putting straw in each seat to hold the top up so it wouldn't create a hole. And then we got the idea to put tires in the trunks. So we put 3 tires in each trunk to hold the trunks up, and if they haven't got motors in them, we put 3 tires underneath the hoods to hold the hoods up so there won't be any holes for their wheels to land in and break off.
All right, the showdown is set for the championship here. It is going to be USA 1, Rob Litzow, 28-year-old defending national champion from Spring Lake Park, Minnesota, against that gentleman right there, Gravedigger, Dennis Anderson, also 28. He's out of Chesapeake, Virginia. That Gravedigger stands 10 foot 5 inches tall. It weighs 13,000 pounds. It's got 1,800 horsepower.
And it's going to the finals for the first time this year. He's been working long and hard to get to this point. Then to his right is going to be a man that's been there many times. But believe me, Dennis Anderson will not be intimidated, and USA 1 knows it. Look at the attack. He comes out on. What a run! Anderson takes his first win, Richard.
Dennis with sheer horsepower.
What he does, he attacks the first ramp, comes over, gets the front wheels up, and actually noses over the finish line. We told you, he's got to drive 180 degrees from everybody else, and it works.
Our congratulations to Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger. They have won the championship in Biloxi, Mississippi. And when we come back with more of Power Tracks, it's off to Louisville, Kentucky for the championship tractor pull and the 10,200-pound pro stock tractors. Coming up next on Power Tracks.
New generation.
And welcome back to Power Tracks, where we have moved into Louisville's Freedom Hall for the Pro Stock Tractor Competition. Army, this is the major league of professional truck and tractor pulling. And explain to all our fans out there about the tubing.
Well, the members of the Northwest Ohio Tractor Pullers Association, you see them staying there along the long black tube. Very, very important to this particular class because the indoor facilities, they must pull the exhaust out of the building. So when you run in Louisville, you have to adjust your vehicle a little bit different. For an example, you notice the exhaust on the tractor comes back over the driver's head. When they set it to sled, that exhaust goes into the big tube, and as you pull down the track, the tube takes it out of the building. The club members you see in the blue jackets, their important role is to reinstate the tube back on the starting line.
And we are ready for our test puller. It is going to be Roland Barr out of Georgetown, Ohio. It's called the Emerald Elk. It is a John Deere tractor.
Roland, a strong puller in this competition. Let's see what's going to happen. Everybody's watching his test pull, and it looks awfully good. Richard Leek, look at this. Good run, good run.
The distance of the track is 235 feet. Roland Barr just went 231.94. So the John Deere fans are happy in Freedom Hall, and I got a feeling Roland is going to be happy with the pull.
Roland, that was an awfully good run. That's what you came to Louisville for, but now you got to sit, wait, and wonder because they're all going to be coming after you.
Ain't that the truth? Of course, I was looking to put the front end in the sand pile. That feels good, but to get up there that far without anything going wrong, I'm kind of happy with it.
Say, the sled looks like it's really pulling hard about the last 20 or 30 feet.
Yeah, it really felt tough. It got heavy awful quick there right at the end. But the pull felt good, but depends on what the track does and how the other guys got their act together. I hope it's good enough.
Let's wait and see. Good luck to you.
Okay, thank you, Army.
You know, this pro stock tractor competition, the fans get involved by what kind of tractor the guy is driving. We just saw John Deere. The fans got involved in his pull. Now we're going to see our first international harvester. It is Dennis Schnichter out of Hoyleton, Illinois. It's called the Black Savage.
Well, Richard, we've been talking earlier about how important this event is. It's the premier indoor event, but also going on each wing of this event is one of the largest agricultural shows in America. So anybody involved in the agricultural industry is here, and they are pulling for their brand.
The international harvester needs to beat 231.94. He's not going to do it. 219.24 for Dennis Schnichter. So the IH fans are kind of sitting on their hands right now.
Yeah, but Richard, believe me, we got some more IH heat setting in this class. Let's see who's going to be coming up next.
It's our first Dallas Chalmers. That's going to be David Best out of Hartsville, Indiana, and he calls his tractor one of the best.
He's definitely one of the best. Some of the crews are watching Dave to see how he's going to handle the track. You notice the driver, the intensity that he has when he sets on that starting line, because they're watching all kind of gauges, Richard. We'll tell you about that a little bit later, but remember, these vehicles are turbocharged, and if you hear a little chirping sound at the end, that's an indication that the turbocharger has reached its max, and it'll back off, and it robs horsepower from you, but that was a good run.
Well, David Best, in one of the best, didn't have the best distance. Only 215.54, so he will not win this competition tonight. Coming out next is a guy that has a great shot to win it, though. He is one of the best in the country, talking about John Lawrence out of Fresno, Ohio. He calls it the Sneaky Snake, and that is an international harvester tractor.
I like the name, Richard, and this guy can come after you in a heartbeat. A lot of people from the Buckeye State are here. Let's just kick back and watch him. He's one of the best. He nailed it right on the starting line. Look at the ground speed, working the left side. A great run, Richard. Look at the big end.
Look out for the wall, because John Lawrence has just put it on the beach. A full pull for the International Harvester tractor. You can hear the thousands of fans in Freedom Hall cheering him on. We have got us a new leader in the form of John Lawrence.